Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint some spring trees. It's going to be really fun. I've got a weeping willow in here and some looks like cherry trees or something like that. Got my husband Mark with me too.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to chat today for our live show. So if you have questions while I'm painting, you can ask those and I'll try to answer. Let's get started. Yeah, just try saying live show. So still can't do it. All right, I'm using a 9x12" Fredrix canvas media board, mixed media canvas board. There we go. I'm mixed up today already. My goodness. I haven't done anything to it, so it's just ready to go. I'm going to spray it with water while I'm talking about the paints and everything. So that'll kind of open up the fibers. You're going to want some sort of a chalk pencil or pastel or watercolor pencil or something like that to do a little light sketching on your canvas before we start. And then you're going to probably want some sort of a scruffy brush for this. We've got lots of foliage and things going on. So I've got my Deerfoot stipplers. I've got a couple of different 3/8 inch, couple of 3/8 inches and a 5/8 inch. And then I've also got my blender brushes from Princeton Velvet Touch. And those are kind of like a filbert with a flat side. Stiff bristled as well. So both of these kind of brushes will be perfect for doing a lot of foliage. And then I'm also going to grab a fan brush for a few of the other details. And then you're going to want some sort of a liner brush. I've got a 2/0 script liner, and those will be our main brushes that we use. And I'll probably also need a large brush for the background. So I'm going to grab a 10 Bright here in the 6100 series from Princeton. Princeton's our brush sponsor, so thank you to them. I've also got a variety of like other brushes that I might pull in if I need them. I'm not really sure, so I've got a few rounds and flat brushes and another angle brush, but I'm not sure that I'm going to need these. I'm going to just see how it goes with the stipplers, and then if I need them, I'll pull in the other brushes. Let's go over our colors. I've got Carbon Black, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, Quinacridone Burnt Orange, Yellow Oxide, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Indian Yellow Hue, Cadmium Yellow Light, Cadmium Orange, Cadmium Red Light, Quinacridone Red, Quinacridone Violet, and Quinacridone Magenta. Then this one is Dioxazine Purple, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue Green shade, Phthalo Green Blue shade. Instead of yellow shade, I usually use yellow, but I decided to do blue this time. And then this is Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, and some gloss glazing liquid. If you don't have these exact colors, just use what you've got that's similar. It's not going to be a big deal. I've just got a lot of colors out here. It'll just make it go a little faster. But really Quinacridone Magenta, Indian Yellow Hue, and Phthalo Turquoise, which is kind of in between these two. Those three colors can get quite a lot of, just mixing those can get quite a lot of these other colors. Cadmium Yellow Light is another one that you probably would want for like vivid, bright greens and things. So we're going to mix up our greens. I don't tend to like put out a lot of greens because I just like to mix my own greens. But if you've got a green that's your favorite, we're going to use a lot of greens here today. So you can grab that too. It's totally up to you. All right. I'm going to grab my 10 Bright here. Well, actually, before I do, I'm going to go ahead and map out some of the things that I'm going to do with this. I'm definitely going to be changing up the image quite a bit. So I'm going to move. First thing I'm going to do is move up. Oh, Mark's playing our subscribe button. Yes, if you welcome. Hi, everybody. Before I start, just got to say that. Sorry, I just jump right in, don't I? If you're new, please subscribe to our channel. We would love for you to come back. And if you click the little bell icon, it'll also give you notifications of our videos when they go live. So.
And no bell sound this time.
Oh, good. Yes.
Good job.
Yeah, I turned it off. It was really loud last week. We did not expect that. Alrighty, so I'm going to move my water up just a little bit. Like in the photograph, it's like really down low. So I want it up a little bit higher. So maybe like right on the quarter of, like if this is our halfway mark, then like kind of split that in half. So somewhere in here, I'm going to kind of just meander some water down this way, and then I'm going to bring this bank over this way into the water and kind of do like that there. Bring these plants over it. So, and then I kind of want to do some like lily pads and things like that in the water. So that's why I'm kind of pushing it up a little bit so we can get a little bit more detail in our water. So I'm going to do a big bank here with this willow tree coming off it. Maybe make it a little bit more prominent and come over to somewhere in here. So that'll be our big willow tree, and that'll be kind of our main focus tree for this whole thing.
Quick question. Mm-hmm. What kind of pencil are you using?
This is a General's Chalk Pastel pencil in indigo blue. All right, so I don't want to do too much detail in my trees and things, because mainly what I want to do is just get an idea of where I want to block in some of my colors. And then I'm going to do another tree kind of coming a little bit lower over this like that, and then do kind of a nice big bush right here that'll be kind of coming off the end, and maybe another smaller one right here. And then on this side I want to do lots of low little things in here on that far bank. So each of these will have some little and again, like here too, some little low plants. I just want more of the smaller plants kind of more visible, and just change it up just a little bit. And then we'll do that cherry tree down here, kind of low, and then the big white tree right in here, and they'll kind of sort of meet up a little bit, maybe even overlapped a little bit. I'm not sure. We'll see as we get going, but that'll be kind of our composition. So it's similar, but not, but I'm kind of changing a little bit. All right, so I'm going to get my large 10 bright, and for the background color, I'm going to do kind of a, in our picture, we've got pine trees. I don't really want to do pine trees back there, but I do want to do kind of a teal color. So I'm going to get a little bit of the phthalo blue and phthalo green. That'll make phthalo turquoise, basically, and which I could have done instead of those two colors, but I kind of wanted a little bit more of a green leaning to give us a head start since we have so much green. Get a little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of burnt sienna. That'll kind of neutralize that color just a little bit, so it's got a nice green. I think I want more blue. Okay, so there we go. And I'm just going to use that back here. And I want it a little bit lighter, so a little bit lighter with it. It's going to look messy at first, that's fine. We'll resolve it as we get going here.
Kind of like marriage.
Kind of, yeah, very similar actually.
Kind of messy at first, but
yeah,
you get it resolved.
kind of figure it out. Hopefully, eventually.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the painting show.
Yes. We're glad to have you along today. Okay, so you can see I'm just kind of very roughly blocking in. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of come all the way down, and I'll worry about those bushes later. So this will be kind of a nice backdrop. It might be sky. I'm not really sure yet, so I may, if I go a little bit lighter, it'll look like sky. If I go a little bit darker, it'll look like kind of trees or things, but kind of not a whole lot of this is going to show up, but I do want to kind of go over these trees just so that there's something back there that it can play against. All right, and then I'm going to go get a little bit of ultramarine blue with that white. And I haven't cleaned out my brush, so I just have kind of a light ultramarine blue. I'm gonna kind of brush that in back here. I'm gonna go ahead and go over these two trees here, just to have this color kind of behind them. And this is all going to be bush over here, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the burnt umber and that phthalo green and do that over here. And just fill in this corner with that. And again, our highlight colors are going to really resolve all these shapes and things, so we don't have to do too much right now. We're just kind of laying in some background color for our other stuff to go against. So I'm going to use a really dark burnt umber and phthalo green here and put in the undertones for our bushes and things that'll go along the bank. And one thing about water, like if you're moving things around and stuff, if you will make your banks flat right here as they come out, that'll be a little bit like, so all of these places where that water or the earth meets the water, if you make those flat, that'll really reinforce that the feeling of water. Even if it's not that way in your photograph, you can kind of change it a little bit, because sometimes it'll look like a little bit odd if you don't have it flat. Your eye kind of expects that for some reason. So you just kind of make it a little bit more flat in these areas, especially like back here where it's meeting the shoreline. Okay, and then that blue is still wet, so I'm just kind of tapping into that blue a little bit. I mean, if you aren't getting this effect, if your background blue is still dry, you can just mix a little bit of the blue in with this color and do this back here. So just kind of really soft bushes back here. I'm going to go ahead and spray this so that I keep this wet while I'm working. It's really important to do that. If you don't, your paints will just dry out really quickly and you won't get any time to work and do this kind of thing. So, all right, so I'm going to kind of do some like very faint looking, very close to that background color, very light greens way back here. What that'll do is like push all of that back, and this dark green that's in front will really become prominent, and then we'll put our really bold colors all up in here, lots of contrast. So if you the far distant trees that you want to like push back into the distance, those you do with a color that's very close to your background, whatever color is in your sky or whatever it is you're using. If you use a color that's very close to that, or mix in some of your sky color with your green or blue or whatever it is you're using for your tree color back here, they will look like they're far away. And so anything that we put on top of this, they'll have lots of contrast, will just kind of give a good backdrop for our other trees that are up here. And all of this stuff will look like there's something going on back here, but it's not super resolved, or we can't really tell what's going on back here. That made sense, but hopefully I'm going to get a little bit more of that light blue and just fill in some of this patchiness back here. And might even add just a little bit of pink, just to give it a little bit of a, oops, that was not, yeah, that's Quinacridone Magenta.
Got a question.
No, that looks
quick
like...
question while you're doing that.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's Quinacridone Violet. That's the magenta. I think I said it wrong when I was saying this. So that's Quinacridone Red, Magenta, and Violet. So that was the violet. Well, that's okay. I don't care. It's violet. But go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Getting a little bit of the blue too. Just making it like a lighter color right there.
So the person says that they're glad that they got the live. First, so welcome, Diana.
Yay.
And then also says that with all the color selection in the water, how does Angela keep from loading her brush to the end of the bristles that tend to overload?
I pull from the side of the puddle, so that kind of helps keep it under control for me. If I dip right straight into it, I tend to get too much paint. So if I just pull a little bit off the corner or the edge, front edge, it makes it a little bit easier to control how much is going on my brush. So that you may start, just get in the habit of doing that. That may help you. And if that's not the problem, then it's probably just how you load your brush. It's just probably a habit that you've gotten into of loading your brush with, more paint than, and depending on the brush, like these brushes that I use here, these Princeton Summit series, they're super thirsty. Like they will hold a ton of paint. So I don't have to reload very often. They've got their, if you can see like here, they've got a pretty big belly right here. It's kind of thick. Like a lot of flats will be a lot thinner when you look at them from the side, or when they're wet down, they might be a little bit thinner. But these have really nice, they come to a nice point, but they have they just are very thirsty almost. They hold a lot of paint.
They got a big belly. They come to a point and they're thirsty. Check
all the boxes there. It's funny.
How similar to life painting is. It's amazing. Kind of eerie.
Never knew. Okay, so I'm just trying to kind of add some just different colors back here, so it's not just solid blue and greens. I've got a little bit of purple going on underneath this tree, violet, and excuse me. I think that'll be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit more of this darker color here, and then in my water, I think I want to go with like a phthalo blue. And, I didn't put out my Cobalt Teal. And Teal. Maybe even a little bit of purple, I'm not sure. And I pulled out also my fluid acrylics. So if you have any fluid acrylics in these colors, when I do my tree foliage, I'm going to pull those out and use those some too. So, all right, that, and then actually let's get a little bit of this Quinacridone burnt orange. Let's see what that does. Okay, so it's similar to our sky color, and a lot of times water will reflect your sky, so it makes sense that it would be similar to that. And then we also are going to want to probably put a little bit of our tree colors in here as well. So we're going to start with this. This is our sky color kind of ish, and there's not a whole lot of this showing, so you don't have to do too much with it, but I just want it covered to give us a starting point. Okay, there we go. So, and then the only thing else to do here is to cover our willow tree. So I'm going to use kind of a sap green. So I'm going to try to mix like a sap green, which would be like a little bit of black maybe with my phthalo turquoise, and maybe some yellow oxide. So it's, yeah, there we go. So it's kind of a little bit of a desaturated green. I'm going to use that. I think I want more yellow in it, so I'm going to get a little bit more of my cadmium yellow. There we go. There we go. So I'm just going to kind of use that to map out. And I'm going to use my brush upright so that I'm getting these kind of spiky things that, you know, look like a willow tree. And just go up and down with it so that there's different heights too. Yeah, you could even bring it all the way up. I'm tempted to do that. Actually, in our photograph, it's all the way up. So let's go ahead and just do that. We'll go ahead and bring it all the way up off the canvas right there. Leave just maybe a little corner of it showing right there. And then I'm just trying to kind of go underneath where I'm seeing my thickest part of my tree. So there we go. And just make sure your background is kind of where you want it to be before you do this part, because this will kind of be visible here. Okay, there we go. So that's kind of the start of our willow tree there. This will be kind of covering up parts of it, so I don't have to worry too much about this right here. This will be that tree that comes in front. All right. So, but see how just having that faded from this dark to this lighter and then fading into the sky, it already gives it some distance. That's really, really fun trick to try, you know, and it works really well. And so our sky is kind of a medium value, I would say. Let me see where it's at. It's probably like right in here. So that's about perfect. So then we can go really light with our trees on top of it. It'll show up in these light colors, and then we can also, you know, get some really nice dark colors. So you want your background to be somewhere in this range here so that we can get these light and darks, and it'll play up against it really well. So, all right, I think we're off to a good start.
I know I am.
You are?
Yep.
Nice. Good.
I knew you were concerned.
I was like, hope Mark's doing okay up there.
Yep. So far, so good.
So far, so good. Nice.
I forgot my pre-show espresso, though.
Uh-oh.
I have to go make some.
I'm going to grab my 3/8 blender. Oh.
Best thing about espresso is you don't like it, so I get to have all of it.
Right, exactly. I know he didn't offer because he knows.
Yeah. There's a whole hell of a
It'd be a hard no. Got a whole bag of no's right here for you. A whole can of no's. All right, there we go. I'm just trying to keep my hands clean because I can transfer color onto the canvas. Acrylics will stick to one another. And so all this dried paint on my hands, if I touch it on the canvas, it'll just like imprint it like it's a rub-on transfer or something. So I don't want that to happen. All right, so I'm just gonna work from back to front. And so work on this little area back here and just put in some little highlights on these little trees back here. And again, I'm going to kind of keep in this color story that we've got going on in the background to keep it looking like it's in the distance. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of that turquoise, like turquoisey blue-green. Got cobalt teal and some of the phthalo green, phthalo turquoise. There we go. So we'll use that back there. And again, we're going to kind of have a bank probably coming in somewhere in here. I can go ahead and kind of mark that out so that we sort of know where to put these colors. So somewhere in here. So I want to bring that down a little bit right here. And smudge out that back, the top of it, and then smudging it out to making it look like a little bit blurry. That'll also push it back visually. So these in distance will look a little bit farther away. Okay, so I'm going to use some of this that's in the willow tree down low here by the bank. I'm going to go a little bit darker, I think. Keep those wet. Go a little bit darker, like right along that water line. So I'm going to get some of that phthalo green and the burnt umber and carbon black. Go really dark right back there. Just right along that water line. Notice that this canvas is not wanting to hold that paint there, so I'm going to have to be careful how much I scrub it. Let's scrub off. Okay, there we go. Put a little bit of this color in the water. Yeah, I may have to switch brushes because this is scrubbing my paint off. This canvas is not holding the paint very well. I think the paint's still too wet. It's not quite fully cured, probably, even though it feels dry. It's not fully cured, and this brush is just kind of scraping it off. Okay. So I can tap instead of scrape, and it'll put down color for me. Okay, there we go. Actually, I think I want to move that back a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of that watercolor. Push that back just a little bit because I don't want it directly across from this one.
So what is your sparkly nail color today?
It is Crater with, what's the color? Crater is a gray, and then the brand is Starly. Starily, Starly, and it's a Crater is a gray, and then Star Cluster is the holographic. It's a holographic. It's really like in the sunlight. It looks like a rainbow. It's really pretty. It's not focusing on it.
Well, just put your hand down and hold it on the side cam.
Okay.
Good.
Right.
Oh yeah, that is serious.
Serious holographic. It's really pretty. It's prettier close up than it is on camera. It looks like an ugly, like muted green on camera, but it's really pretty in person.
Very nice.
So, yeah. I've been watching YouTuber Kelly Marissa and buying a lot of her paint, her color recommendations. So shout out to Kelly. I saw her. She's a Patreon ambassador, and we have a monthly meeting. And so she was in that last meeting, and I looked her up, and I was like, oh no. And Mark can tell you, it's like it was a bad idea because I don't need any more paint colors. I've already. Yeah,
I'm gonna call this influencer.
Like, what kind of voodoo are you doing on my wife because she's buying more paint colors she doesn't need? Yeah, that's it. Okay, I see a bush back here too. I want to do that's this color, so I'm gonna get some of that I still have wet over here. Some of that lighter yellow green and do right there. And again, kind of just smudge out that top area so that it looks kind of soft and blendy. All these ones that are in this farthest back area, I'm going to do that too, just to kind of give them a little bit more of a distant feel. Okay. I like it. All right, and this part of the painting is going to look funky before it looks better. So just kind of know that going into, you know, like you're gonna be doing some layers here that, you know, may not make a whole lot of sense, but just kind of go ahead, go with it. It'll come together in the end, I promise. But we just kind of have to do all these weird, ugly layers before we can get to the finished layers that really make everything pop. So when I am painting a landscape like this, I'm looking for the darkest areas in my background so that I can create contrast. And so if I have some dark here, it'll really, and I think I need some dark up here too. I didn't put it in my photograph or in my painting, but I'm going to get some of that blue from the background and use this phthalo blue or phthalo green and black and burnt umber here. That black and burnt umber and phthalo green was this one, and now I'm just adding it to my sky color. I'm going to put a dark tree kind of low back in here, just a dark bush. And when I'm making up trees, I'm just wanting to kind of look at my surrounding trees and try to create some movement, you know, so up and down, and, you know, making sure that I have just some interesting things going on. I don't want to be repeating patterns, or like over here, you know, I didn't want to have this coming out and this coming out, meeting it on this side. I want to move this one down so that we have some overlapping layers that are at different heights and things. It's just a better way of composing your painting. So if you have a photograph and you're just like, you know, there's something about it that kind of seems off, or, you know, you're not really sure what it is, look at that and see if there's, you know, maybe the tree is cut off in a weird place and you want to move it over a little bit or something, or, you know, maybe there's a person or a building or something blocking part of the view that you want to add back in, you know. So don't feel like you have to paint it exactly like what you're seeing. And a lot of times it'll be better to kind of change and move things around. A lot of times I'll edit out things that are distracting, or, you know, things that just don't really make a lot of sense to me. So going back in here now and just adding back in some really nice dark saturated areas so that we have some good contrast when we add our highlights on. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Again, back here, I'm kind of more of a turquoisey, but it still does go to dark. It kind of has to go dark down here to ground it, so it's not all fluffy light colors back here. Again, I need to be careful because that color wants to dry a little bit more than I'm allowing it to. And now that I'm seeing this dark in front of this, I think I'm going to go ahead and go back in here and add a little bit more of my, I'm going to get a stippler because I need to do a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit of this darker turquoisey. It has a little bit of that color. It has a little bit of this color in it, and I'm going to add it to my sky color. This color was the phthalo, turquoise, and burnt umber and black. So I'm just going to use that back here and add in some. And so kind of in between these two, a little bit, maybe a little bit lighter than this. No, not that light. There we go. So just see how it's kind of just a little bit lighter. And again, we're going to have this white tree back here and in this area, so a lot of this may be covered up, but just want a little bit of something more back here. Another transition between that dark and light area. Okay. Just a little bit darker. Okay, that's better. Now it's more obvious that it's, a little bit trees and things back here. Okay. And then I can go ahead and get my white and add in some areas, or even a little bit of the ultramarine blue with the white and that turquoisey color, and that'll also kind of help. Smudge out. And I'm using this brush fairly thick with paint, but you can still see the individual fibers though. So if you don't see them separate like that, then you've got too much paint on it. Okay, I'm gonna stop messing with that because that's gonna be our background color. We don't really need to mess with that too much, but I do want to get my script liner. Where's my script liner? There it is. And get some of this darker blue, black. Make sure you've got plenty of water here. And I'm just gonna put in some very, very random light branches and sticks things. Just basically running it through in different directions to give it a little bit of detail, and then you can make some actual branches if you want, but not a whole lot is going to be visible. But make sure that you're kind of starting it from down in the plant itself, below the tree line there, so that it makes sense that it's coming out of. There we go. What were you gonna say something? Oh, okay. And I'm just tapping over some of the areas just to kind of smudge them out a little bit. There we go. Okay, not bad so far. So let's go ahead and put in some branches like that in our willow tree too. And this guy, I'm going to use my Van Dyke Brown hue and some purple. And I'm going to use the Van Dyke Brown hue is like a burnt umber, but they don't have burnt umber in that. In this brand, woo. In the fluid acrylics, so you could use black instead if you wanted to. There we go. So I'm just using really dark.
Hey, real quick, on the branches that you did, which brush did you use?
This is a 2-aught script liner.
Thank you.
All right, so not a lot of the branches are going to show, but I'm just going to go ahead and kind of map out where my tree trunk is. So I'm going to kind of start it up here and then just bring them down this way. And Most of this is going to be covered up by foliage, but I do want kind of just a little bit of something under here to give us a, background, and we can, once we get our main colors on our tree, we can go back in here and put these back in some areas and make them more prominent. When you're doing tree limbs like this, you want to be sure that when you're, like, if you go here and then you press down and then you keep going, see how you've got like a thick area right here. I don't know if you can see that because it's shiny, but yeah, there you got a thick area right in the middle. This limb needs to be the same or thicker all the way down to the trunk. So now you need to go back in and make sure that anything closer to the trunk is thicker than that part of your branch. That makes sense. And I don't really like that these are coming in at the same spot, so I'm going to move this one down a little bit and thicken up my tree trunk just all together a little bit more. Maybe too thick. I don't know. We'll see. Most of this down here is not going to show, but a little bit of it right in here is going to show. And then this part at the top here where it comes off. Make that whole thing just a little bit wider. And again, if you make any changes farther in the branch, you need to make sure that you widen out all of the rest of that branch that goes towards the trunk. So just keep an eye on that. Because as you get going, you can kind of end up with some funky looking branches if you don't make sure that they're thicker. It's going to look odd. And these are going away from us and coming down. So we're seeing some of these are kind of behind the tree. Okay, there we go. Sorry. My throat's all clogging up on me today. Okay, so there we go. We got a good start on our willow tree there. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing with our white tree. So I'm going to put our white tree somewhere in here. And it's going to go up and over. Just widen out the base. And then I'll put the smaller tree kind of right in here, coming out the yellow, the pinker one right in here. Just a few main branches so that we kind of have an idea of where to put our tree. You could draw this out instead of painting it in, it's fine. Either way, you just kind of want to, at this point, kind of have an idea of where your trees are going to be. Okay. And then we'll have another tree kind of low coming out this way. But I don't want to do it until I do my tree back there. Okay. Get my deerfoot again, and let's go ahead and put in kind of the background of our white tree. So I'm going to use I'm going to use a little bit of this tree trunk color, which was the purple and brown, and add some Ultramarine Blue and some of this Unbleached Titanium. I'm going to create kind of a blue-gray. I'll add a little bit more of the burnt umber to it. The Unbleached Titanium just makes it a little bit more neutral. Okay, so it's fine. It's kind of like a blue-gray purple-ish color. The burnt umber and ultramarine blue together will, and this one had purple in it, so all right, perfect. So I want to leave a little bit of that green showing, so I'm going to try to kind of do this in areas where I can leave a little bit of that green back there. Showing in a lot of the in-between here maybe might be a little bit of it. Going a little bit darker here, getting a little bit of that color from our branches. Okay, that's good. It's actually kind of, maybe we'll make this one in front more white and make that one pink back there. I don't know, it's turned out to be kind of pink. I'm going to get the Quinacridone Red and some of this color as well. So some of that purple brown color and add it to that Quinacridone Red. And we'll, yeah, there we go. And this is going to go right over the top of that and pretty much cover the whole bottom of that tree. So we're not really seeing where it is. Okay, so something like that. I definitely kind of brought it down a little bit lower, maybe too low. I don't know. We'll see. And then I'm going to put a little bit of this color on our shoreline. So I'm going to put a bush right here with that pink color right there. Yeah, I kind of brought it too far down. I don't know why I did that. I do that. I get going and it's a problem. Okay, I'm going to put back some green here. Yeah, because I want some bushes down here that are colored. So let me get some of my light green, my green and my cadmium yellow and a little bit of burnt umber, or burnt sienna, I mean. I'm gonna put in a bush here and here. There we go. Okay, so now our pink tree is kind of pushed back here. I'm going to go ahead and add some of this color to this bush that was back here too. Okay, good. And then let's go ahead and add it on this shoreline here, this where our willow tree is at. There we go. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to grab another Willow's blender that is clean. Get just a tiny touch of water in it. And my white. And I'm going to get a little bit, I'm going to spray all this definitely want to keep plenty of that color because I'm definitely going to need more of it. So I want to be able to come back to it. So I'm going to load that up fairly thick with paint, and I'm going to turn it so that the point is pointing down. And I'm just going to start tapping in my white over the top of this. And I probably, let me get a little bit of that green. Probably don't want it like fully white quite yet because I want to be able to have kind of a little bit of depth in there. So get a little bit of that green or gray color, purplish gray color that we started with, so that we'll kind of do a mid-tone and then do the bright white at the very end. There we go. But pointing the tip down is where you can get control. If you don't point the tip down when you're doing this, you can end up with these big round blobs, and it makes it look a little less realistic. And don't worry about going over your stem, not stem, your tree trunk. We can put that back in. Okay. I'm going to go underneath this one a little bit, through it. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to get that really bright white and just kind of see how much difference that makes. Now just find my, kind of creating these little clusters, so just where the light's hitting on the top of the branches. Just finding kind of a cluster and really brightening it up. But make sure you're leaving some of the dark here and there, and that's what's going to make this bright area shine. If you don't, then there's not going to be any contrast. And okay, I think that's good. I like that. And then to kind of finish it off, what I can do, get all the moisture out of that brush. These brushes work better when they're dry or dry-ish, so that's why I grabbed two of them, so that I could keep one somewhat dry while I was working on the other one. So just stuck my thumb in the black, sorry. Definitely don't want that. Okay, so then to finish off these, I can grab my, let's get this is a one round here, and my white, and just come in and just dab in some like more obvious leaves along that, and have a fairly good amount of paint on my brush here. See how that's doing? Just kind of adding another little layer of detail, giving it a little bit more realism, a little bit more depth. Just those little white dots. And just kind of Mostly doing them along the edges, you know, to kind of create a little detail, but I am kind of still doing a few of them in the middle as well. So, and I'm just kind of really just plopping down that brush, but that angled tip is going to, or the pointy tip is going to create that leafy shape for me. All right, I like it. Coming out nicely. And we've got plenty to still do in our pink tree, but that is looking really good there. Liking that. Okay. And then to finish it, we'll go back in with our black here and just add in a few branches with our script liner again, now that we've kind of covered up all of our branches. Just go back in and there we go. And of course my pink tree is going to be on top of this too, so, but I just want a little bit of those branches to show through. And if you've got a really obvious little spot where they start and stop, you can take your more of that white and just kind of tap off where they, you know, where those branches go down into your white areas of your tree and hide them a little bit. Okay. Oops, got a little water drip there. Picked up a little bit of that purple from the wet paint, but I'm not hating it, so I'm kind of adding a few of these little purpley brush strokes in here. Okay. I think when you're doing these white trees, though, it's just really important to leave plenty of that dark showing, because otherwise they just end up looking like a big blob of white. So, and sometimes you may have to go back in multiple times with your bright white to get it saturated enough, because the colors underneath can kind of seep through. So, all right. So let's go ahead and work on all these bushes down here, these little ones. Get those all resolved before we finish anything. So I'm going to get some white and my light green that was the Phthalo turquoise and burnt umber, I think. Maybe a little bit of the burnt, I can't remember what color I used here. Sorry. Fitzy. No. There we go. Just kind of a light yellowish highlight color for back there. I actually don't know that I want it that saturated, because it's going to pull the eye, pull those bushes forward. So I think I might desaturate it just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And then let's do another bush here, but do it in a like a dark turquoisey color. Phthalo blue with my phthalo green and some burnt sienna. And then a little bit of white. So we've already got this kind of light turquoisey color here, so I'm just adding a little bit of darkness to it. And then let me go a little bit darker. I feel like it just needs a little bit darker back, just down in here. Okay, there we go. And then I'll just use white, I think. I'm just barely touching down. If I kind of load this brush fairly thick with paint, and I can just kind of tap really lightly with it, and it'll just create these little fluffy highlights, textured areas. Just tapping. Okay, there we go. And I need those dark areas too, so don't lose the dark. Okay, there we go. And let's put a little bush right here, like with a, let's do, how about we do some white since it's kind of across from it. So try to get some of that tree trunk color, which was the purple and burnt umber-ish color. Let me get a little bit of blue to it. Make a dark blue-gray, and we'll add a little bush going kind of in between these two, I think. I'm going to move this one over, I think, a little bit. So just kind of a overlapping. Yeah, there we go. Need a little bit darker underneath there, so I'm gonna get some of that dark purpley pink underneath. Some of my dark green. Okay. Okay. And let's get some of the magenta and burnt orange here. I'll do a magenta bush. It's like right in here. And you can get crazy with these colors and do whatever you want with them. That's the fun thing about something like this, is you can just kind of make it your own. And I'm going to do kind of a mid-tone. So you do a dark tone, sort of a mid-tone, and then you do your highlights. So whatever color you choose, doesn't really matter, just as long as you kind of have those three elements: mid-tone, dark, and light, highlight. And your highlights and your darks are probably going to be the least obvious, and then your highlights and your... And I want to make sure that this color here is darker or like more reddish than this so that it doesn't compete with this tree right here, because I'm going to be putting that pink on here in a minute, and I don't want it to be the same as that. So I might go back in with a little bit of Quinacridone Red and make sure that it's looking a little bit more reddish. Okay. Gonna get some burnt umber and push the bottom of those bushes back, make a kind of a rocky shoreline there. And maybe get a little bit of the unbleached titanium and mark those a little bit. Okay. Probably have this a little bit too brown, but no, we'll see. I still need it really dark right along that water line, so I'm going to get some black. Just go right along that water line. Make a nice dark mark. And then it'll make part of that brown look like a reflection. Kind of split that brown area in half. And the part that's below it'll look like it's kind of a reflection in the water. Okay, it's looking all right. We'll clean up our shoreline there once we get going with the water. I can get a little bit of the light green here and just tap across. Some willow leaves falling in the water there. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this bank right here. Let's get some of the cadmium yellow light. Mix it with this green that we were using back here, and I'm just going to kind of highlight this bush right here that's on the under the willow tree. That's coming down. And this may just be grass, or it doesn't have to be, you know, I might kind of pull up with it so that it looks like a little bit of grassy. Get some of the white with my yellow. Just setting it down and lifting. Of course, all this is going to be dark, so I'm just really concentrating on this part that's down here. And I got it way too same color, so I'm going to have to darken up some of this up. Getting some of the green with my burnt umber, burnt sienna. There we go. And just blend it down into that shoreline color. Okay. Better. in like a little bush right in here. Maybe use some of this green here. I'll kind of go over the top of this pink one just a little bit. A little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, cadmium yellow light. There we go. I'm flattening off the bottom of it. That'll make it look also kind of more like a bush. And then let's get a different color. Let's get a little bit of orange. Mix that in with some white. And it's mixed in with my greens. It'll make kind of an interesting and a more of a neutral orange color. I don't want it like super bright because I don't want it competing with my pink tree right here. So just a little bit of orange, a little bit of white. There we go. That's pretty. So let's go ahead and put a little bit of that right down here. Maybe there's a little one living right here. That orange. And I don't want them straight across from each other, so that might be a problem. I don't know. We'll see. I didn't notice it was so close to being straight across from it. Get a little bit of white. Make a lighter version of that and tap in some of that. Ooh, that's orange on that side. Yeah, I don't think I like it over here. So let's do a pink. We'll get that Quinacridone Magenta. And let's do one that comes over and up a little bit. So maybe it's a bush from like down here and it kind of comes up and lives right in here. So it's coming down from up here. We'll put some sticks and have it coming down from like in front of everything right here. But I can't finish it yet because I got to do the one that's right here in front of this willow tree. So before I do more, whoops, whoa, my brush went flying. Before I do more on the willow tree, let me get my 2 flat here. And I'm going to get my willow tree color, the tree trunk color, and just get a little bit of unbleached titanium, maybe a little yellow oxide to yellow it down. Here we go. And I'm going to a little bit of light in it, just a little bit. It's going to be pretty dark in here, but I just want a little bit of detail in case any of that shows up. And let's go ahead and do it on this one too, just a little. All right. Yeah, so let's give this guy some branches. Just using the edge of that brush. And I might bring it up a little bit. We'll see I might bring it up into here. We'll see once we get this one done and get our willow tree done. Oops, look at what I did. How did I do that? I don't either.
I really haven't been paying attention,
look at
so
that.
I don't know.
It's all up under my nail.
Painting is a full contact sport.
It is for me. I'm so messy. This is why I don't do watercolors, because I could never keep my hands clean enough. I just get it all over my paper and stuff. With acrylics, you can cover it over at least if you make a mistake. Watercolors are not forgiving. All right, let's go ahead and work on this tree. So I think I'm going to use my fan brush for my willow tree. And I cannot remember what color we mixed up here, so I'm just going to wing it and try my best to make something that's similar. Burnt umber, pretty sure I used burnt umber. Probably a little bit of black. And my green, I need to clean out my palette because it's going to end up. Oh, and then I think yellow oxide was it. Let me use a little bit of the Indian yellow hue. I haven't used that yet. Yeah, yellow oxide. That was it. Okay, so that's a really nice dark color. And then I'm going to add lots more yellow. So I'm going to get my cadmium yellow light here. Find a clean spot if I can. There we go. Pretty. Yes, that's a good color. That's a nice color for my willow tree. So that'll be kind of my mid-tone. This will be my dark, which I'm not going to need much of because this is pretty light tree. And then as I do my highlights, I want lots of yellow. So I'm going to get that cadmium yellow light. That'll give me that really bright yellow color. And I'm going to add some white to it as well. Okay, so I've got lots of colors on my brush here. Need to add water so that they'll come off for me. But let's go ahead and try it and see. Whoop, that was a little bit too much. Too much water. I'm going to need to offload some of this paint. Just kind of twist it and smush it down because it's way too loaded. Okay. And tap it through the wet paint there. Yeah, there we go. What? Can I do what? Count, yeah. Sorry. All right, so I'm going to use some of the kind of medium and lighter colors here. I'm going to just kind of, at first, I'm going to just going to pull down through and create these kind of wispy areas back in the back area by the tree trunk behind our tree. So this is the under layer here. I might leave more of this tree showing than is in our other photo. I kind of like it. So this is the mid-tone. I'm just kind of going over my dark green here and trying to add a little bit of that directionality to my paint color here. Give that willow tree feeling. And this brush does a good job because it's creating these broken lines. So I've got the darker color kind of streaking through in places. It's not solid. Okay, I'm going to get some of that darker color for over here though. Just a little bit of it. Mix that in. I've got a huge tangly piece of hair. There we go. And it's important to have these darker colors because then our lighter colors are really going to pop off of the canvas. So now I'm going in with the kind of mid-tone. There we go. Okay. Nice. Get some of the darker tones put down in here where it's going to be kind of the middle part of the tree, the more condensed area. Add some darker there. Okay, really nice. Okay, now wait for it. This is going to be the fun part. Get that brightest color, really load it up. I've cleaned out my brush, so let's just see how it'll make a really nice straight line for us. So we're just going to tap and create our little highlight strings of willow branches. Willow leaves come down. Get it too clumpy, that's okay. We can always come back in and break it up if we need to, but yeah, this is fun. This is my favorite part of a painting, is when you get to start kind of, you know, making it look real. Okay, so for the top part, I'm going to kind of go sideways a little bit along the top edge and just kind of tap it around that corner there. There's like a little highlighted area, and then I'm just going to pick some areas because they're swooping over each other and you're seeing these like little highlighted spots. So I'm just going to like pick a little highlighted spot like right in here and do these coming off that, and then come down from that and leave just a little bit of this dark here. So swoop it and see how that's doing. It'll create these little branches in coming over. So you can go just a little bit more solid where they're coming over and overlapping, and just making sure that you leave just a little bit of this darker color behind it. See that? And then we'll just do our whole tree like this. Up here at the top, I'm going to leave in a little bit more white. You can pull down too. For, you know, some areas might be a little bit more solid looking. We don't need to have the little dots on the whole thing. You know, parts of it can be a little bit more solid. I'm going to get a little bit more of that white and just use it like right here where that one's coming down. Like maybe on the parts that we want to make it look like they're, you know, over the other areas. Let's do another one here. Honestly think that willow trees are one of my favorite trees to paint because I just love these long linear lines you get to do. It's really fun. And then the ones that are kind of coming towards us are going to have this kind of a shape. You're going to see, you're not going to just see it in one direction, you're going to see it coming back at you this way too. So you'll have kind of a waterfall of color or of lines like that. And every now and then you can grab some of that darker color too. You don't have to just do the lighter color. It's good to have like some variety of different values here as you're doing it. And these are the ones that are kind of in the back of our tree, but the light's still hitting them, so we're still seeing it through the branches. But then the ones that we want to be like on top, we can really make a little bit brighter. So let's go ahead and do right up here. Nice bright area coming down. And just bring it right down over the top of this part that's in the back. It's kind of a combination of pulling and dabbing. So sometimes I'm wanting to kind of pull some lines, and sometimes I'm wanting to kind of dab. Sometimes you want to dab, sometimes
I was going to say, let me see you dab. Let me zoom out a little bit.
It's okay. Sometimes you just gotta dab. What movie was that? The girl broke up with her boyfriend because he was dabbing. I watched a show. I just thought that was hilarious. She's like, I love it. He's great, but he just dabs all the time. Oh, I wish I could remember what show that was. Oh, great. And somebody will remember, I'm sure. It was so funny. He was like a doctor too, you know. He was like really accomplished and great. She's like, I just can't handle it. I can't do it. Yeah. Sorry, that just side note. You just threw me off there. Okay.
I don't really dab. I floss.
I can't. Better than me.
And the look I get from you when I do it is priceless.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. It's like, seriously? Gotta do it now before I get too much older. I'll throw a hip out.
True that.
I gotta stay relevant, you know.
Right. You gotta keep
Right.
with the times.
Maybe I need to post a TikTok of me flossing.
Oh no.
No? Okay. There's a heavy emphasis on no. I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, so you just kind of create these little things by adding, you know, more of a value change. That's really all I'm doing here, is just kind of where I want to really emphasize the, you know, the value shift, or the, you know, like difference between one area and another. Just, you know, adding a little bit of that highlighted color will really pull that out and make it obvious that, okay, that's a different little thing. And that's just kind of what you need to do here with the willow tree. I'm going to do another little one right in here, coming down this way. And you can see I'm not going with the photograph. I'm just kind of using it as an idea, but you know, and it's nice to have a reference because it sort of gives you a starting point, but I'm not relying on it totally here. I'm just kind of making my own tree up here. And then let's go ahead and overlap it all the way down here over the background trees, and that'll push those back. So I'm going to bring it down over the top of some of these little areas here. And those will now suddenly look like they're farther away. Okay, I'm good. I think that's pretty good. And I also kind of have that sweeping shape going on here where here it's coming out. I'm going to go ahead and bring this out just a little bit more. I like it. All right. Kind of wish I'd done my sky a little bit lighter here. Might. I don't know if I want to mess with it actually. Just kind of buff in some lighter transparent white here. There we go. Sort of like, is that a cloud? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Do we know? I don't know.
Maybe it's maybe.
Okay. Just lightening that up a little bit back there. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab some of this really dark color here. I'm going to use it right in here, and it's going to hurt me. Ouch. Covering up a beautiful tree. It's hard. But this will give it depth, so we've got to do it. Gotta have these layers. Okay. Whew, breathe through it. I'm all right. It's okay. We did it. That was hard. That was hard. I did.
You need a hug.
Well, I do need a hug. Thank you.
Okay, be right there. Hold on. That sounds like a nervous laugh.
Mixing the turquoise or the phthalo green with my Indian yellow hue here.
Oh, you did a good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He's tugging me. Okay, I need to get this going because I don't want to go too long. I've got a video tomorrow too, so gotta save my arm. All right, so getting some of this dark color, added a little bit more of my Indian yellow hue to it, a little bit more of the green, and then a little bit of the white. And I'm just gonna kind of highlight. I want to leave the dark edge though, so don't want to highlight right up to the dark edge unless it's gonna show. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. Nice. Just creating these little layers of color coming across in front of my willow tree. I don't know, I kind of wish I'd left the tree trunk, but it's all right. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we've got a tree there. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a bush right here in the same color family. So I just want a little bit of it over here. In front of our thing. Okay, perfect. Looking good. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else I want to do. I'm just gonna put some grasses or something in here. Maybe get a little bit more of that yellow there. Do a bush right here with the yellow coming in front. And then use a little bit of that yellow from this tree, my highlight color over here.
So you said that
Excuse me. What?
that you have your bonus video tomorrow,
Yes.
and that's available through patreon.com. /angel-fun-art. It's the monthly bonus video for the $5 level
Right.
and above. So if you're $10 level, you get access to it too.
Yes.
And we're painting, well, you're painting something.
We're painting another landscape. We're doing a landscape with a river, and you can pop up the bonus video there if you want. But it's
I was gonna check my newsletter.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, there it is.
it's
There you go.
that,
The newsletter.
yeah. Oh, there now it's in focus. So that's what we're painting tomorrow. There's our newsletter. So if you want to sign up for that, shows you what we're painting that week, what we're going to do on Tuesday, the bonus video, what we're working on our $10 level group right there. We're almost done with our little cottage painting, and then kind of recently finished videos, and then where you can buy the stuff that we do in our videos, and then we also have a little testimonial from somebody that's posted something in our community. So if you're interested in that, it's on you can sign up for my newsletter on my website. But we don't spam. We just, we like
spam.
It's just a way to it's just a way to keep you informed in case you're interested in what we're working on. I'm gonna add a little bit darker color in here, just back in there. Okay, I'm just realizing my willow tree is way more green than in the photograph. Like I got going on it, and I wasn't really matching it much, but oh well, that's okay. Let's go ahead, and I also want to add a little bit of grasses, so while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna get my liner brush here with some of that. Actually, let me use this darker green. Add in some color. I'm just gonna kind of add it. A little bit right in there. I don't know if I love that. Taking out that grass and just putting a bush there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we've got bushes. Let's do like a little white something here. Maybe got a little bit of. You get the the cadmium red light here with a little bit of my white. I'm going to add it to this orange bush that we had going on right here. I think I have my brushes too, like perfectly spaced. Let me get some of my darker burnt sienna. Add some dark back in. Maybe a little bit of dark green. Darken up the bottom of it, so it's just kind of light all the way through. There we go. That's that cadmium red light right there. And I'm not loving this right here, so I'm going to get some of that really dark green, a little bit of black, and just kind of darken up this area right there and right there too. I'm probably going to add some smaller bushes right there. Okay, making sure that I have a nice dark area right where that comes out, and That looks good. Okay, so let's add some. Get that phthalo blue. And I have that dark green and black here in my brush, so I'm just going to use it in my water, darken up around my shoreline. Okay, and get some of the white with my what is that called?
Paint.
My glazing medium.
Oh, sorry.
I was just close. White with glazing medium, and I'm just going to add horizontal lines through my water to create ripples. And highlights. This should also be kind of like my sky color, similar to my sky color. So, looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna get some of the white and that bright color from my trees and just tap across with that to create some leafies in my water. Okay, good. And we can also add just a little bit of this reddish color over here in the water if we want. Kind of maybe here with a little bit of this color here. From that bush there. And then I just want it to kind of disappear pretty quickly. Okay. Like this is very much like more fantasy. It's not, you know, obviously like photorealistic because we're just making it up as we go. So, and that's fine. It's kind of fun. I enjoy doing it this way. It's a little bit more freeing. I'm going to get some more of the color of our cherry tree here and come out of my bush right here with it. Oh, I already kind of started this, but I didn't do a very good job of it, so I'm going to, now that I kind of know where I want it, I'm going to be a little bit more precise about it. And do several sections coming up. What are you laughing at?
Hmm?
Are you laughing at something?
Yeah, we're talking gas prices.
Oh,
Holy moly.
are they high right now?
Well, here we're in Arkansas. They're about $3.25 a gallon.
Oh, wow.
You don't pay attention, do you?
No, I don't. When did that happen? I haven't put gas in my car in a while. I don't go anywhere in my car anymore.
Yeah, there's a reason why.
I know.
And then,
Gee whiz.
so out in California, it's
Ouch.
$6.
Oh my gosh.
Up where Dave lives up there in Canada, that's $5.90.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing you have a hybrid.
Hawaii, it's $4.50. Yeah.
Mark drives a Prius.
I was gonna drive my truck to work.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll have to get some dirt one of these times. And I figured that a trip to and from work is gonna be about $30.
What?
Just in gas.
Just
yeah.
adding that into the price of the
Yeah.
Well, no wonder inflation's going through the roof right now too, because if that costs, they're passing on those shipping costs to us, the gas prices in the goods we're buying. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I'm totally out of the loop, obviously.
So don't drive anywhere. Save money on gas. Buy some more art supplies. Happier life.
Do what?
Happier life.
No, I missed the first part of your sentence.
Don't drive anywhere.
Oh, right.
Save on gas. Buy more art supplies.
Buy more art supplies. Yeah, I think that's a good policy. Okay, so I don't want to go over the bottom of my willow tree here with this, so but I do want to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up here, I think, a little bit. Okay. So I've got one things there. I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use my Deerfoot stippler again. And I'm going to get some of the Quinacridone Violet. If you don't have it, just add a little bit of purple to your Quinacridone Magenta. I'm going to mix these two together, actually. And I'm going to use that kind of as my undertone in my tree here. Well, that's a little too obvious, so I'm just going to add a little bit of this purple brown color to it. I'll tone it a little bit and make it a little bit more of a natural color. It's a little bit bright. Okay, there we go. And we've already have some of the undertone in there, but it went over the green, so I'm just adding it back in. Plus we have our white tree that we added, and just, there we go. So we got a nice dark area there, and let's add our white. Oh, I don't have any white. I guess it would help if I had white up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to spray this and take off all of this that I'm not using right now. So all of this. I'm going to take all of that out. It's all dried, and I can't really mix over the top of this dried paint because it's, what it'll do is like add little flaky bits to my paint. I don't want that to happen, so just trying to get off all of the dry parts. That's still workable. This is a glass palette, so it scrapes clean, but at this point you may, if you're using something different, just get a new fresh sheet. Whatever you're working on. Okay, here we go. Actually didn't end up using my fluid paints. These are actually working just fine for me, so the thicker paints. I know Mark went through all that trouble, and
Really? Have you seen my fingers?
I know. No, I haven't.
They're like very colorful. Ow! Ow, cat! No! No! Ow! Ow!
Cashmere's trying to jump on your lap.
It's just stuck her claws in my leg.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Should have gotten that on camera.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity there. All right, so I'm kind of seeing it's sort of flat right here, so I'm going to kind of bring it up right here just a little bit. Added a little bit of white. And again, doing kind of a mid-tone. We got our dark tone down. It's doing sort of a mid-tone like we did with our white tree too, where we, did our grayish color first and then added this. I kind of wish I think I'm going to pull this back because I kind of like the white there. Let me see if I can get it. I don't know if I've put it too much of that pink on. Kind of want that white to be that leading edge there. So I'm going to pull that pink back a little bit. leaving plenty of these branches showing. I like the branches kind of peeking through there. So, all right, so I think that's what I'm going to do for my pink. Get a little bit more of that purple. Really like that brown added with that kind of purpley violet color. It's a nice combo. Kind of gives it a little bit more of a natural undertone instead of just that bright pink, which kind of makes it kind of look like bubble gum. Okay, I like it. That, and then let's add a little bit of the bright white. I'm not going to go right up against that white tree because I don't want it to disappear, so I'm going to kind of keep it sort of in the middle here and maybe go over the dark areas so that it just kind of pulls them forward a little bit. There we go. Just thinking here. Okay. And then let's do this one over here, which is more of the Quinacridone Red and Magenta color. So I'm just going to add that. Maybe it's a quince. Quince has this beautiful, like reddish pink watermelon color almost. Thought about buying one. One of our neighbors has one and it's just so pretty. I always admire it every spring. And we've got forsythia bushes too in our yard that bloom that really pretty yellow, bright yellow, so we can maybe do some of that somewhere. I did way too much on that. I don't know why I did that. I just filled up that whole area with it. Okay, I'll leave a little bit of the dark showing through. Here we go. Yeah, better. Okay, then getting my white and adding my Quinacridone Red with my white. Nice bright color here, and just hit the tops of these with that. Nice. Okay. I just added it back in there where I took it off. Oh my gosh. Why do I do that? Okay. And let's get my angle brush. I'm going to get my three round here. I'm going to get some of this reddish color. And I'm going to add flowers to my bush over here. So, and actually before I do that, I want to add some green on top of my tree limbs here. Just make sure there's a push back. Just tapping green over it. And I lost all my really dark area there, so I'm going to get some black in my green and go back in and add some contrast back in because I don't have any contrast back in here. It's all very light. Do the same thing. Okay. This reminds me of Thomas Kincaid painting. kind of. It's got that feeling of the colors going on and things. So yeah, let's do some Quinacridone Red and maybe a little bit of Cadmium Red medium or Cadmium Red light. Here, I'll do some, just do some, maybe this is a camellia bush. They like to bloom in the spring too, I think. Like winter, actually. Do that there. Got a bunch of azaleas maybe over here. I don't know what these are. Let's go ahead and trying to think if I want to add any more colors in here. I mean, you could really go crazy and, you know, add a bunch of littler, you know, littler things in here. Maybe some little white flowers or I don't know. I don't think I need it. I honestly, I think I kind of like where it's at. It's a little bit more simplified, but I don't mind it. And I do want to, though, resolve this part of the water here. I feel like it kind of, so I need to just get a little bit of white and a little bit of my glaze and some, this is the angle brush I've got here. Angle, 3/8 inch angle that I was using for the flowers over here. Just going to put some water lines through there. And if you want to, you know, get fancy and put in some lily pads, you can do that. You can just kind of put them in sort of with green, but kind of keep them like flat. Everything you're putting in your water here, I would just kind of keep it nice and flat. Let's go ahead and put some of the pink blossoms in the water there. They're going to fall in the water, right? Get some of the color from my pink tree here. Dab in some water. Okay. I like it. What do you think? Are we good? I kind of don't love this. I think I'm going to make this one white. I think that's what I don't like. I think it's just like too much of this pink over here. Too much pink. So I'm just going to make this one more white, I think. We'll see if we can do it. Yeah, a little bit better. And then I feel like we're going to need a little bit of white down here somewhere. Or maybe in our water. There we go. That's good. I'm going to tap that off because it's a little too bright. Yeah, okay, that's better. Let's put some highlights in this bush here. We've got these roses here, but we don't have any, the bush itself doesn't have any highlights. So, let me get some of my green, maybe a little bit more of the turquoise and white. There we go. We put that dark back in, but we never went back in and highlighted it again, so we kind of need both. There we go. There we go. All right. And let's go ahead and put some highlights in our roses or our little camellias here, whatever they are. and since they're closer to us, we can actually kind of maybe, like resolve them a little bit and make them look a little bit more like a flower. Just kind of give them some like little petal looking things instead of just dabs and dots. I like it. I'm going to get a little bit darker. And make the one side a little bit darker. Anybody see anything I missed? Because sometimes when I'm doing this, I kind of miss things because I'm sitting so close to it for so long. I guess I haven't done any of the, let me go ahead and use this brush here and do the magenta and white. And just do the little leafy shapes. I'm just going to use this instead of the round brush, but it'll do the same thing basically. Just kind of doing some little leafy bits on the end. My branches. A little bit more detail. You're quiet. Nothing? Everybody look good?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing we missed? Okay. Do we have any questions? We can go ahead and start doing those
All right.
while I'm finishing this up.
Well, let's see. We'll do super chat.
Ooh, super chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. We like super chat.
Yeah. So many steps to do. Super chat here. Okay, so the first super chat fell off the little queue up thing, so it was from Phyllis, and she says, "I love your tutorials, and I appreciate both of you and Mark, or both you and Mark." Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So thank you, Phyllis.
Yeah, thank you. It's always nice for, when they say they like you, too.
I know.
I like it.
That's always helpful. And then we have a donation from Kovacs and says, it looks great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Super sweet.
And then we have one from Colleen and says, thanks for the perfect painting for my room.
Oh.
Can't wait to paint it.
Yay. Glad.
Thank you, Colleen.
Yes.
Then we have one from Patty. It says, this is beautiful. See you tomorrow for the live bonus video, too.
Yay. All right.
Thank you, Patty.
Well, that was sweet, Patty. Yeah. Patty's already a patron. She's donating extra. That's really sweet.
Then we had a question. The question was, what's the difference between a chisel blender and a lunar blender?
Chisel blender and lunar blender. I'm not really sure what brands those are. Sounds like the lunar blender. If I'm not mistaken, it's one from the Princeton. Get this select brush here. Yeah, lunar blender is the select version of the blender. So, of the blender that I use, it's a little bit less stiff, I find. But it should work pretty much the same. I've used it a little bit, and they come in bigger sizes, which is nice. So this is a 1/2-inch one, select from Princeton. And the chisel blender, well, that sounds like it might be a little bit shorter, maybe. The chisel ones usually, like chisel flats and things, they're usually like shorter. So you probably, I would say it's probably like closer to half the size of this one, I'm guessing, and just give you a little bit more control. Chisel just generally kind of made to give you a little bit more control in what you're doing. Okay, so once this is dry, I think what I'm going to do is glaze in some dark, because I feel like it's all kind of flat, you know, like there's no shadowing much in this one. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. What were you going to say? You have another one? Okay, go ahead. Getting some white and the carbon black here, sorry. Or cobalt teal, sorry. Go.
So they say they don't have a fan brush.
Okay.
To get the same effect, could they use a flat brush?
Yes. Yeah, and just kind of when you're using it, if you use a flat brush for it, if you tap it, so here's my flat. If I tap it, it separates out the fibers of it. This one's not doing great. If you've got a more of a stiff bristled one, it'll do it more. But yeah, you could use a flat brush and just tap it so that it kind of opens up a little bit, and then when you tap down here, it'll create the same effect. Here, let me see if I can get it with this brush. We'll get a little bit of white in the. See how it's doing? It'll do basically the same as the pan brush was doing. Might be a little bit different pattern than mine is, but you know, it'll be the same basic effect. Okay.
Then the Campbells, that says that they're curious. So
Okay.
I'm thinking their first name is George. What is Angela's energy level like after painting like this?
I'll let you answer that.
Conscious. I would definitely say that. Yeah, conscious.
That's about right. No comment. Yes. 100% conscious. I don't, I'm probably not very verbal is one thing I would say. Probably very, I usually do not plan anything on my show days. So the days that I have my shows, I don't go out and do stuff before or after, because if I do stuff beforehand, I tend to be a little bit more scattered during the live shows. I can't focus as well. And then
like finding your phone.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And then afterwards, I just don't feel like being around anybody or talking or doing anything for the rest of the day, pretty much. So
I get out the Xbox and just sit next to her.
Yep. And
play video games, and I
read or play games, and
she'll do her traceable sometimes.
Yeah, I do my traceable usually. Yeah. Okay. So I'm using my color here. I think, what color did I start with? No, I think I used those two. Yeah, I mixed up some of that, the dark color that was here. So this was the Van Dyke Brown and Phthalo and Dioxazine Purple. It was these two colors in the thing, but you can see the Van Dyke Brown is very similar to like a burnt umber. They don't have it in the fluid. I don't know why they don't have burnt umber and fluid in the fluid, but they don't. So that's the closest alternative. So this is like burnt umber and purple, and then I added the Quinacridone Magenta and Violet, which really they could be either or. You don't have to have both. But I wanted this one to be a little bit different from this one. I just wanted different purples, different colors. So I made that darker color, which was those two plus this color, and then added a little bit of ultramarine blue for even more kind of a bluish color. And I'm just going to use it in here. Cashmere is determined to get on Mark's lap, and she just is going claws out to get there. Poor Mark. She just jumped back on his lap again. Fully claws extended. You okay?
Yeah.
It's a good thing we've had our babies. Is that what you're saying already?
She jumped through the little opening between the arm of the chair and the back of the chair and just kind of grabbed on my stomach. And
It's like, I am coming up. Let me on your lap.
yeah.
This is happening, whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm making a dark color here, and I'm just going to kind of add it to my white tree over here because I feel like it's too pink still. Get a little bit more burnt umber. And this is just little small edits, really, honestly. You can end at any time that you're happy with your painting. So this is just my little fussing with mine now. I'm kind of fussing at this point, just adding little bits that I feel like it needs. And I'm going to add some branches over on this thing because it doesn't have any branches to it. So just some little branches here. And then just bump up the contrast in front of it a little bit by just tapping over both of those with a little bit of that color. And let's do a little bit right here. Coming down. A little reflection in the water. We've got the pink, little pink flowers in the water. We've got our dark thing there. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with all of this. I might add a little bit more yellow to our willow tree. So I'm going to get some cadmium yellow light and my white here. And just find some spots, and I've got the stippler because that's what I had in my hand, but you could use your fan brush again if you wanted. Just adding some really bright areas. With more yellow. Okay. Kind of covered up all my dark there, so I'm just going to get a little bit of the darker color and tap it back in. This is where you kind of have to be careful not to overdo, because I tend to cover all my dark areas up with my highlights, which is pretty normal, you know. I mean, I think that's fairly normal. It's not really something you can avoid. So just kind of watch out though when you get your painting done. If you feel like you're not seeing the depth that you want, then go back in with your darker color and add some of that back in, and then okay. Yeah. Nice. Getting too thick of the lines there, so just use my fan brush here to separate out those a little bit again. Okay. Yellow. This is just the yellow and white here. All right, there we go. I think we're good. This has been fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you try it. This is definitely a lot of fun, especially when you're kind of making it up and changing things and, you know, creating your own little world. There's so many things that you can do. I think the main thing is just to overlap as you go down, you know, just stair step your things. So you just got, you know, your far one, it gets overlapped a little bit there, a little bit over there, a little bit here, a little bit here. So each time you get closer, everything gets a little bit bigger and it gets a little bit more overlapped. And that way you end up with that at the end. It's pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I think I probably could have gone a little bit darker back in here, but I think it works. So I'm gonna leave it. All right. Thanks guys so much for hanging out with us again on a Saturday. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you are what? Oh, sign it. Okay. If you're a patron, we'll be doing our video tomorrow, so hope you join us for that. Let me use my fluid color here. I don't know where to sign it. I don't have a good place to sign it. I guess I'll do it over here.
And then down below this video, if you're new, there's a description that has the canvas size and the paints used and links to the brush guys. And, you know, you can get brush sets there if you're in the market for that. There's a code.
They sell those blenders that I used for it and then the Deerfoot stipplers and stuff. So
right, there's a code Angela Fine Art. You get extra 5% off the discounted prices already, so check that out.
And I have to say, not all Deerfoot stipplers are made the same. So Princeton's the only one that I found that still makes it with these dark bristles that they're stiff enough. A lot of brands use softer or just different fibers, but this one is the one that I find works the best for me. For you, maybe different, but anyhow, shout out to Princeton there. I was using their stuff before they became our brush sponsors, so I already liked their stuff, and
they are awesome.
Hey, I'm using yours. Do you think you could send me some free stuff? And they're like, yeah.
Okay, we can do that. And also there's links.
I'm going to add some branches here.
To like Blake, where you can get paints and canvases and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Just adding some little bits of branches kind of peeking through here and there. You can see them in our photograph. You can see the branches a little bit. So I just want to kind of add a few of those back in here. There we go. Okay. That's it. We are done. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.